Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. This is like my 50th time of recording this intro because I can never get it right, but hopefully this time it's right. So I'm back after like a couple months of not uploading. Not sure why I didn't upload. Probably should know why. Anyways, so when you scroll down you can see this little progress indicator. We're building a whole blog site and stuff. This is actually my favorite part of this site, is this little scroll indicator. Super simple to make. It'll just be a little bit of JavaScript and I'll walk you guys through step by step on how to make it. And it's pretty cool. It's also very responsive. So if we went over here, and this is like a phone size right here, click this cool little nav menu pops up. Pretty cool. What else is in this website? Not much, but it's a pretty cool website. You can keep adding to it if you wanted, all sorts of stuff. I'll explain to you guys step by step on how to make it. It's gonna be pretty cool. Yeah, I hope you like the video. My GitHub's in the description, so if you guys want to, get all the code and not want to write any, I'm completely fine. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. So hope you guys enjoy the video, and like always, please like and subscribe if you would like. And I will see you guys in like 1 second. Alright, so before we can do anything, we have to grab our image, which is gonna be for our banner on the blog site. And how do we get that? Well, luckily, in my repository on GitHub, which there will be a link in the description, you're gonna go there and you go over here, you're gonna click this banner.jpg. Once it's in here, just go here, click save image as, or download, whatever you want, and then save it on your computer, and then you'll be ready to move on to the next step. Alright, so the first step is to open a new folder in VS Code. Just make the folder wherever you want on your computer, and just open it up by going File and Open Folder. And now you should have your name of your folder right here, which in this case is just blog site final. Now I'm just gonna make sure this is maximized, and in here we're gonna click this button right here, which is gonna make a new file. So I'm gonna name this index.html, and let's make a styles.css. Lastly, make an app.js. This is just gonna be a couple lines for a little bit for the nav bar when it's responsive, and a little bit for the where am I looking for? Oh, the progress scroll indicator thing. Alright, so one last thing you need to do is just make sure your banner.jpg is in the same folder, and we're gonna make another folder. We're gonna call this image, and we're gonna drag and drop this inside of here. So now we can access it by going to the image in the banner.jpg once we get our HTML set up. In the HTML, let's grab a little exclamation point. It just is just a little Emmet shortcut, which will make the little boilerplate for the HTML, so you don't have to go write all of this crap. Next, you're gonna go to your styles. What am I doing? Let's add a link to our styles.css. I'm sorry that my keyboard's a little loud. Yeah, hopefully that's not a little annoying. Alright, so now that we got this, let's make an H1 real quick. We're gonna call this blog site, so we make sure that's working. And if you go to your extensions, you can download live server, and once you have that downloaded, just click open with live server, and that will just open up a new window with the your site on it, which is pretty cool. In here, you can press Control B to close the sidebar. We don't really need that, it's getting a little distracting. Now what are we doing here? This is our HTML, obviously, and up here it says document. We don't really want that to say document. Let's just have it say let's techie, which is gonna be the name of the website, and we're gonna say best laptops for programming in 2021 edition. Yeah, I don't think I spelled that right. What did I write over here? Oh, wait. Oh, never mind. Not the N. Alright, again, you can name this whatever you want. Just, I'm just gonna name it this for this website. There's one last thing we have to do until we can really start making the website, is go over to Google Fonts, or, yeah, fonts.google. I'm not sure it's at Montserrat. Right here. And we gotta grab the weight of 100, which is thin. I can't remember if we use this in this thing or not. 300, which is light. 400, which is regular, and 500 and 700, so medium and bold. And then you can click this over here. We're gonna grab this link tag. This will allow us to use all these fonts in our actual project. So if it will let me copy this, go over here and paste that in right there. Now we're able to access all these fonts and use all of them by saying this right here, which is font family Montserrat, and the backup is sans serif if it can't load up Montserrat for some reason. Now we are ready. So let's start off by making a nav. We can use the nav HTML element, which is just, you know, already there. Doesn't do anything. It just so you can access it from your CSS, but just going nav like that. You don't have to give it a class name or anything. So it's a pretty easy way. Next, let's make an h1, and we're gonna add a class of title. I guess you can name it anything, but let's give it all uppercase techie right here. It's gonna show up right there. Next, let's make a UL, so unordered list. And if we say dot right next to this or a period, and you say nav links, this will make a UL with the class of nav links. Same thing if you replace that dot with a hashtag and do the same exact thing, but just with the ID of nav links. Next, let's make an LI. And here, let's make an A. Now, you can either put hashtag so it goes nowhere, or you can put something like a JavaScript a void of 0. It doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna put hashtag. It's a lot easier. In here, let's put home. Copy this right here. Go down here. We have 3 links on this page, I'm pretty sure. So let's say about and contact. What do we have next? Well, we want to make our progress bar. Luckily, our progress bar is just going to be one tiny, like just a div, because all the rest is CSS and a little bit of JavaScript. So under all of our list in our nav, well, you know, not, it's still in our nav technically, but not in our nav links. We're just going to put a dot, and then actually let's put an ID. So we can put ID and then progress. This will just make a div of progress. Next, let's make our burger, which is the little, you know, hamburger that you click to open up the nav. This is not gonna, let's skip that. We'll add that later in when we actually make a site responsive. Alrighty, so now we need to add the banner. How do we add that? Well, we just make a div of banner. It'll be a pretty easy way to access it in the CSS, so we might as well. Let's make an image tag in the source. We're gonna say slash access the image and then our banner. It's gonna be a gigantic image right in the middle of our page, which is gonna be a little distracting for right now, but we will fix that. Our alt, pretty much what this will do is if the image fails to load on someone, like their internet crashes or whatever it is, it'll display the alt, like just a piece of text that says like laptop in this case. Let's see, let's add an H1, which is gonna be our little thing that says best laptops for programming in 2021. Let's go H1, and we're gonna put best lap. I'm just gonna copy and paste this real quick. Feel free to get this off the GitHub if you want. Anyway, so the best laptops for programming. We have a line break in here, and what this will do is right here, if we had a line break in between TE and CHY, the CHY will be below the TE. Let's see, what do we want after this? Well, we want our 2021 edition, but we don't want that to be as big as all these. Let's put this in a span. So if we write a span tag right here, and we give this a class of small, so in the CSS, we can, anything with the class of small will have a smaller font size. So we're just gonna say small. Inside this, we're gonna say 2021 edition. And there we go. Right now it's way down here. Oh, what do we do now? Let's see. Okay, right here. We just missed a little thing. Alright, so we've got our banner done. It's pretty simple. CSS will do all the magic. So let's just make another one. And this will be our article. So we're just about done with our site HTML. So let's make an article tag. Again, this is just like the nav tag. You can just access it just saying article instead of making a div called article. And we're going to say h1, and we're going to say z book 2.0345778 something. Just 2.0. Alright. What do we need next? We need a p tag. Now, we can use lorem. So if we put lorem 10, this is 10 of like dummy text. So 10 words of dummy text. So we don't have to write like, a million words. Well, let's do lorem 250. A lot of text there. But remember, we have multiple paragraphs. So we need to make a couple more. So let's make another P. And again, lorem 250. Or you can just copy and paste the last one. And let's make one more. So lorem 250. I think 3 will be enough for this. Just make sure. Let's do another lorem 250. There we go. A lot of words. And that's all for the HTML. Only thing we are missing is our script tag, which is gonna be down here. This will just link our script source. This will just link our app.js or JavaScript file. If we didn't do this, none of the JavaScript would work. So, kind of have to do it. In here, we'll make this asterisk sign, I think it's called, or multiplication. I honestly don't know exactly what it's called. And what are we going to put in here? Well, as you can see, we have a lot of spacing right here. We want this to be directly against it. Now, what is causing this effect? It's because the page already has a set margin. If we set the margin to 0, all of a sudden it's all the way back in the corner. So we start from like scratch. Padding 0, and let's set the box size in a border box. Now this is a little hard to explain. You can look it up if you want. It kind of just helps it with when you're width and boxes and sorts of crap. Yeah, some other stuff too. Just good to add. If you don't add it, then you might run into some errors when you're trying to do some stuff. Now we're gonna spell Montserrat, which I don't know how to spell, but now I do. Alright, sans serif, which is our backup. Now all this has Montserrat on it. Pretty cool font. Now we gotta target our nav. Our nav is the next thing, which is just going to have a set height of 60 pixels. Remember how it's stuck to the top. We're gonna use that doing position sticky, which I'll show you guys in a minute or two. Border bottom, 1 pixel solid, and I did an RGB of 2333. 233. Never mind. All right, there we go. This is like a off-white. You can't really see it the second, but you should be able to see it in a little bit. So the background color to white. It's already white, but just in case. Let's set the display to flex and align items to center. What is this doing? Displaying flex is making sure that all the content, which is our links and our title, are next to each other. They're like flexing or something. Yeah, okay, it's a little hard to explain. Anyways, after that, let's do justify content, flex end. What is this doing? All of our stuff's getting pushed to this end. Which, yeah, that's pretty much what it does. Next, let's change position to be sticky. Now, this nav bar. Okie dokie. Oh, we gotta change the top to 0. And this will make sure it's always on the top at 0. So you scroll down, see how it's staying there. Pretty cool. Let's see what else. And let's set the Z index to 500, which makes sure it's always on top. So no matter, this will always be on top of your page. It'll, no matter, the image won't be able to go over it, so you'll always be able to see this. Alright, next let's do a progress. Now, for this, remember we have to access it as an ID because we set it as an ID, which just with a hashtag. We can set the width to be 0, the left to be 0, and the height to be 2 pixels. Let's also set the background color to be black and the position to be fixed, and the top to be 60 pixels. So the reason I set the top to be 60 pixels is because on this we have our height to be 60 pixels, and we want this to be directly below it. Position fixed, just make sure it's always there. No matter where we scroll, it's always going to be exactly below that nav bar. Let's see, the width is 0, just because, you know, we don't want the width to be big right now. We're not scrolling anywhere. That will be done in JavaScript, which we'll do in a little bit. Next, let's access the title, which is just the little techie thing right there. We want it to be in the middle. Now, how do we do that? We can change the position to be absolute, and the top to be 1 rem. I'm not sure why I set it to 1 rem. I'm gonna leave that there for a second. Yeah, okay, whatever. Let's change the left to be 50%, and the top to be 50%. Now it's right there. We don't want it to be right here. I want it to be up there. I might be wondering, why is it, if the top's 50% of the nav, why is it right here? Well, that question has plagued mankind for ages, but we can fix it pretty quick by just going transform, translate, negative 50%, and negative 50%. You might have seen this trick quite a lot. People are trying to position stuff to center. Pretty popular trick. But as you can see, it's right in the center now. What else do we need? We need our letter spacing to be 5 pixels. I'm sorry if this video is getting really long, but you know, I'm trying to explain every single tiny little detail so you guys don't get confused. And if you do get confused, just leave a comment and I'll try to reply. Alright, transition to 0.3 seconds ease. Why do we need this? Well, as you can see, when we hover over it, we want a little effect. This transition will make it look more cleaner and actually like look cool and stuff. Cursor pointer makes it look like it's a button, like it's a link that is going to like your home page. So this is like a blog site, so techie would just bring to like your just regular techie where all your blogs are. Well, we added that transition, so let's add a hover effect. So title and hover, and in here letter spacing to be 1 pixel. So when we hover over it, it goes like shrinks in. Just kind of brings your page a little more alive. Alrighty, next we are gonna target the nav links. So the nav links, and what do we want to happen? Well, we want them to display as flex. As you can see right now, they're in like a column, so we set display to flex. They're all of a sudden in a line. The problem with this, they're very like crowded. They're right next to each other. How do we change that? Well, all we have to do is change the justify content to space around, but it still won't fix it. It's mainly because its width is very small. It's only taking up as much space as it needs to. So if we set the width to be something like 30%, all of a sudden, they're all right there. It's pretty cool. And the last thing is let's set the margin right to be something like 20 pixels so they're not, you know, directly against the side. Unless you want that. Another nav links, but this time we're going to target the LI. Now, when you change the list style type to none, just so this little thing right there is not in our way, you know, because lists always have that little dot right next to them. Let's do .nav links in our A tag now. Let's change our color to another RGB. This one will be 106. I'm going to copy this so it's completely 106 in every single one. Like an off gray color, so we want to change it to black when we hover over it. Let's change the text decoration to none because it has a little underline right now. We don't want that. Let's change the font weight to 400, and now it's like 400 is regular, so just like the regular font. It's not thin, it's not bold, it's just regular. The letter spacing to 3 pixels, so it kind of has the same effect as the title. It kind of looks cool. Next, let's change the transition, and we can specify what we want the transition to affect. In this case, it's going to be the color. So that means this transition will only take place when we change the color of it. So we can change the position to be relative, and you'll see Actually, wait, no, we don't need this because I was gonna do an after effect on this. So it's a pseudo element. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to say it. I mean, but we're just gonna do a hover. It's gonna look kind of cooler. Very simple to make too. So nav links a hover. I have a video on hover, so you can check out my channel if you wanna learn how to use hover if you don't know how to. Change the color to be black. Now, when we hover over it, it's like a glowing effect to black. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. All right, there's quite a lot of CSS in this, but don't worry, we're going through it. We're almost halfway. Actually, we are halfway. All right, anyways, let's go to banner, which is gonna be our little image and our stuff in there. We're gonna change the position to relative. You'll see why we do this in a second. So if we change our banner, H1 of our banner wants to be in the exact center of our page. We can change this to be position absolute. So absolute. So before the position will absolute will do the page height. So the page is like 100 view height, whatever it is. And if the position absolute, if we change the top to 50, it'd be 50% of that height. But if the banner is 500 pixels and its position relative, the position absolute will be right inside of that 500 pixels. So 50% of that will be 250 pixels instead of the whole entire page. Hopefully that made sense. I might make a video on that soon. Before we do any more, I'm gonna make sure the image is, not looking a little weird. And it's very big right now. Object fit to cover. It's not going to do anything quite yet, but if we change the width to be 100% of the page, all of a sudden it's right there. And the more we scale this, it scales with us. Very cool effect. Alrighty, next let's change the max height to be 80 view height, so it doesn't go any bigger than that. If we on like a gigantic monitor or something, whatever it is, just make sure it doesn't go crazy. Add a filter of brightness 90%. It just darkens it a little bit. Now we're back to our H1. We have our position to be absolute, so now we can change the text align to be center. Now it's hard to see, but the best laptops for into the center a little bit. So now we can change the width to be 100%. You'll see what this does in a second. The top to be 50%. Translate Y to be negative 50%. Directly in the middle. If this didn't have position relative, if we remove this, all of a sudden it's in the middle of the page. When we add that back, and it's in the middle of the banner, so pretty cool. A couple other things is I have to change the color to be white, the line height to be 1.3, the font size to be 3 rem. We want it to be super big, and the font weight. Font weight, we want it just to be 400. We don't want it to be bold or anything. So there we go. Right in the middle. Now we want to remember the 2021 edition. This is like gigantic. We don't want it to be like that. We want it to be a lot smaller. So we can select the small, the font size to be 1 rem, and the font weight to be 300. Alright, I just noticed that we forgot something, which is just in here. Right before our span, we want it to be a BR, which is the line break. All of a sudden, our 2021 edition is below the thing. Pretty cool effect. At the same time, not really. Just makes it look cool. Alright, let's select our article, which is all of our content, pretty much. All of our, words. We want to change the max width, So max width to be 1000 pixels. I cannot talk today. Alright, you're not going to see this quite yet, but if we go up here, one last thing. Change the margin to be 100 pixels, which is from the top right here, and then auto. Oh my god, auto. So now it's right in the center of the page. So right now, you give this kind of cool effect. The 100 pixels just makes it so it's 100 pixels from the top. If we add another article, it'd be 100 pixels, you know, spacing horizontal wise. So now it looks pretty cool. The margin auto just centers it in the middle. And the max width of 1000 pixels, just make sure that the width is 1000 pixels, but it can't get any bigger than that. It can get smaller. It can't get any bigger than that though. Alright, so what do we need to do next? Well, we can still do some other stuff to our article, which is going to be padding 30 pixels. The reason we add this is so now over here we still have a little bit of padding. Like we have more white space, so a little more easier to read. Alright, I'm actually going to change this to be 50 pixels instead. A little too far from the top. Alright, next, change the line height to be 1.5. A little more space between all these. And let's do the article H1, which is the ZBook 2.0. And we're going to change the margin bottom 10 pixels because, you know, we don't want it to be right up against our text. And our font size to be 2 rem. A little bigger. Now it's kind of pretty close to there, so you can add more margin to the bottom if you want. It's up to you. It's another article, and we're gonna select all the p tags, which is all of our lorem, ispum, 5 million, something. We're gonna add a text indent. So what this will do is for each paragraph, we want it to have a text indent of 50 pixels, right there. So this has added a little 50 pixels for the indent at the beginning of the text. And the margin, some more margin, 30 pixels and 0. This is 30 pixels from the top and bottom, and 0 pixels on the left and right. So there we go. Our things are more spaced out. This website's coming a lot more to life now. Let's access to article and the image. Alright, so now the website is looking pretty good. So it worked just fine on like a regular kind of just monitor, but it's not responsive yet, and we don't have our progress indicator yet. So let's make our progress indicator right now. Now, how do we do that? Well, we are going to have to go in here, and what we're going to do is, this is going to be a little confusing, but we're going to add this window dot on scroll. So this will activate whenever you scroll on the page, and we're going to have it equal a function. If you guys do know JavaScript, the better way to write functions now is just const, like counter equals whatever, you know. Okay, that's the better way to write functions. This is the ES5 way and stuff, but it's fine for right now. Inside this function, you want to add progress. What is progress? Which is going to be a function we're about to make. Over here, const progress equals no parameters. This is like a function. So whatever we put in this, whenever we scroll, this will be called. So whenever we scroll, it'll call a function, and inside this function, we're going to call this function. Yeah, pretty cool. Now, what do we want to happen? So whenever we scroll, we want to first get the when scroll. This is stored inside of a variable called let. Let just means we can mutate it. It's const means it's so like let 1. Let x equals 1. And if we have const x equals 1, we can change const b we can change the let to be, so we can change x equals 2, but if we change b equals to 2, it'll stay 1 because it's a constant. Alright, what do we want to do in this when scroll? Well, we want to get the document dot body dot scroll top. This is a lot of words, but so pretty much we want the scroll top, so whatever that number is, or this is a or sign, so or we want the document dot document element dot scroll top. So even I don't understand this a lot. Pretty much what this is just doing is getting the scroll top, and if it can't get the scroll top, then it's just gonna this is another way to get the scroll top. So now we need to get the height of the page, or the scroll height, like whatever the height is. And how do we get that? Well, let's just store it in height, and height's gonna equal document dot document element dot scroll height. Scroll height. If we can't get that, no, sorry. So we want to get the scroll height minus the client height. So document element dot client height. This is a little complicated. You can look up what each of these means, or I can just go to GitHub and copy and paste all of my code that I'm writing. Yeah, pretty much what this is doing is getting the height and the scroll. This will allow us the progress bar to react whenever we scroll. What do we need next? Well, we need the scrolled. So how far we have a scrolled. Now how do we get this? Well, it's going to equal parentheses. This will be when scroll, which is the variable we made, divided by the height. Why do we put this in parentheses? Well, we want this to be called first because we want to times this by 100. If we didn't put parentheses, that means we do when scroll divided by like height times 100. We don't want that. We want when scroll divided by height. We want whatever that equals times 100. All right. Let's now do document dot get element by ID. This will be progress, and which is our progress bar. We can change the style directly from our JavaScript. We'll just use the dot style, and we'll say dot width equals to scrolled plus our percent. So if we scrolled 2%, that means the width will be 2%. Up here, right there. When we scroll, go right there. Pretty cool. So there you go. You have a scroll indicator. Really cool effect for only like 5 lines of JavaScript. That is very confusing. Alrighty. Now we can go back to make this responsive, and while we're making it responsive, we're gonna add a little bit more JavaScript with the nav bar. So what do we need next? We need to go back to our index.html, and in here, actually we need to go up here. So right here, we need to add inside our nav, right below our progress, we're gonna add a dot burger, and make a div with class of burger, and dot line 1. And I'm gonna use Alt Shift and then your down arrow 2 times. I'll just copy and paste it down, or you can just use regular copy and paste. Alright, now why are we naming this line 1, line 2, and line 3? In the beginning, when I showed you guys the site, we had that little effect. So when we click the button, it turns into like X. We have to target each one of these in order to do that animation, which I will also show you guys in a second. But first, let's go back to our styles. And what did I do? Alright, so target the burger that we just made. Every single div inside of it. So all those lines, we target directly. This might be a little confusing. Pretty much what this is doing is just going to target the burger directly to the divs right below it as a child. Change the width to be 23 pixels. The height to be 3 pixels. So each line will have a width of 23 and a height of 3 pixels. the background to be black. Now you can see it right there. All three lines right there. But now we need the margin to be 5 pixels. Now it's starting to look a lot cooler now. Change the margin right to be 20 pixels, so it's not as close to the side of the page. And lastly, the transition to be 0.3 seconds ease. This will just allow us when we do our animation and everything. Alrighty, let's go our burger, and we're gonna display as none. We don't want it to be here right now. We only want it to be there when our page is at a certain width, which we're actually gonna do in 1 second. First, though, we wanna. Okay, this is gonna get a little confusing, but we're gonna say dot toggle. Although we don't have. Can I not spell this? Alright, we don't have a dot toggle yet. So pretty much what this is gonna do is whenever we click it, we're gonna add toggle to every single line. And what we're gonna do with those lines is we wanna activate an animation to them. So every single time we get toggle, we want our dot line 1 to have a transform rotate -45 degrees. You're not supposed to see this yet, but we can also add. What did I do there? Oh, so we're just adding another one in here. So we want to transform the rotate -45 degrees and the translate -5 pixels and 6 pixels. This will just add a little animation kind of effect. Just gonna rotate them and make sure they're in the right place. So let's copy this whole entire thing. Let's paste this down 2 more times. Line 2 is gonna be different though. We're gonna have the opacity be 0. We want line 2 to disappear because we only need 2 lines to make the X. And here we keep this the same, move the minus, so we actually just want it to be 45 degrees. And instead of -5 and 6 pixels, it's gonna be -5 and -6 pixels. Alright, so it's looking pretty cool now. Although you can't really see it now, but we'll see it in a second. So now we need to add a media query. So we can go media, screen, so screen, and the max width. So when the width of the screen is 800 pixels, which is like like a phone, like a large phone size or a tablet size. What we're gonna want to do is we're gonna set. Everything in here will only happen when the width is that. So we'll change the banner H1 to be a font size of 2.3 rem, and the text shadow to be 0 pixels, 2 pixels, another RGBA. It's RGBA this time, so 0, 0, 0. Now we have alpha channel. We're gonna change this to 0.289. Pretty exact number. So we don't see anything yet though. We go in to 800 pixels. You notice that where am I at? The font size is a lot lower now. This text shadow, I just added this so you can see it a little better against all the background and stuff. I'm actually just gonna add this to the whole entire thing, I think. So like the main one. So if we go way back up here, no matter what the width is, this is always, wait, oops, wrong one. Where is our thing at? Banner H1. This is always gonna have it. You can see it a little better now. Alrighty, so we have our font size be 2.3 rem, a little smaller, and we want to change stuff in the article. Article is now going to have a max width of 600 pixels. See, it's a lot smaller now. Okay, the font size to be 0.8 rem. So the font is a little. What have I done? Let's remove that for right now. That's a little too small. All right. The line height to be 2 and the padding to be 20 pixels. Kind of cool. Kind of looks like crap at the same time though. Yeah. We'll add a little font size in a couple minutes. Let's do the article and the H1. Just list this little thing right here, ZBook 2.0. The text align to be center right in the middle of the page, or right in the middle of the article. You don't have to do this. I just think it looks cooler when you're on phone and stuff. If we go here, you know. Alright, so what? Alright, let's go now and let's target all the nav links. There's gonna be a lot of style properties in here because we gotta make that whole entire thing. You know that when you click the button, you want this whole entire big pop-up to come out. How do we do that? We're gonna change the position to be absolute. This will allow us to top 60 pixels, so it's gonna be right below the nav bar now. We want to set the background to be white, the width to be 100%. Right there. We have this little thing right here. How do we get rid of that? How do we get rid of that? Well, if you remember, we set a little margin up there. So we change the margin back. Oh my god, this is going crazy. The margin back to 0. All of a sudden, takes this right. It's right there. You know, pretty cool. All right, height. The height is gonna be 100 view height. The whole entire thing right here. Pretty cool. Our thing's still going crazy up here. We don't want it to be like that. So all we have to do is change. We already have display flex on here from up there, so we don't have to add display flex anymore. We can just say flex direction to be column. It's right there now. But we want to change. We want it to be in the center, so we can say justify content space evenly. No, that's not what I do. What do I do? Oh, line item center. I added this for a reason. Why did I add that? Okay, I'm gonna leave it like this. Anyways, I'll change the font size to be 1.5 rem, so a little bigger, so you can see them more. And what else do we have? Transform the scale to be 0. Now, why are we doing this? When we click it, we want it to like pop up. We want the scale to go from 0 all the way to 1. We'll do that with our JavaScript, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Transition 0.3 seconds ease. So when we do change the scale, it'll be like it's gonna go slow, like a pop-up kind of thing. We want the burger. The burger now is actually gonna be a display block. All this is doing is changing the display none, so it's actually there now. It's right there. We must have missed something, because our burger should have a cursor of pointer, so it looks like a button that it's actually clickable. They're not doing anything right now. Why is that? Well, because we haven't really done anything yet. So we can change the nav active. This is not a class though. We never made it. We can add classes to things with JavaScript. So we're gonna add this to a transform scale to be 1. Whenever we do click the button, we want the nav to go from a scale of 0 to a scale of 1. This will make the little pop-up effect. Alright, so let's go back to our JavaScript. Now we need to add some things in, because the things that are HTML, like our burger and our nav, we gotta access that somehow. In order to do that, we can change the const burger. So this will be the little burger menu to equal document dot query selector to equal the dot class, so dot burger. Again, I'm just gonna copy it down. This will be nav. This will target the nav dash links. And lastly, whenever we click the burger, so we can burger dot add event listener, click, we're gonna run an arrow function or just regular function, and we're just gonna add to the burger, so burger dot class list dot toggle. What is toggle doing? Well, if we toggle the class toggle that we made, what it's doing is whenever we click it, it's gonna add toggle. We click it again, remove toggle. If we just did classlist.add, when we click it, just add toggle. If we click it again, it's gonna stay there, so we'll never be able to close the nav. Now let's add nav class list, toggle. So this, whenever we're clicking it, we also want to do the nav active. Now all of a sudden we click this pops up. And click these links. Although something's happening here. What is that? It's going crazy. I actually do know why. Right here, we're targeting line 1. We want to target line 3. And there you go. We have a fully responsive and cool website. Yeah, it's pretty cool. You can keep adding to it if you wanted. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. The GitHub's in the description if you guys just want to, you know, grab the code and run away with it. Hope you guys had learned a couple things, and I think the scroll indicator is pretty cool part of this build. What else? The responsive nav part was actually pretty cool. So feel free to use any of this stuff that you learned. You know, progress indicator is very cool effect. You can really bring your website to life, and this nav menu is also very cool. Without other to do, I hope you guys had a good time, and please subscribe and like if you guys would like. Now, what did I just say? Please like and subscribe if you would like. Please like and subscribe if you want to, and I will see you guys in the next video.